Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about collection and collections framework. So to start with, let's understand what is collection. A collection, or sometimes called as a container, it's simply an object that groups multiple elements into a single unit. Okay. Collections are used to store, then retrieve, then manipulate, and then communicate aggregate data. Typically, they represent data items that form a natural group. For example, a poker hand, that means a collection of cards, or we have another example of a mail folder, which will have a collection of letters, or a telephone directory, a mapping of names to phone numbers. Then let's understand what is collections framework. A collections framework is a unified architecture for representing and manipulating all collections. All collection frameworks contain the following. Okay, so what it contains: interfaces, implementations, and algorithms. Okay, so interfaces, these are abstract data types that represent collections. Interfaces allow collections to be manipulated independently of the details of their representation. Okay, in object oriented languages, interfaces generally form a hierarchy. So there will be some interface which will be extended or implemented by another interface, then will be extended by another interface. So that kind of hierarchy will be there in object oriented languages. So implementations, these are the concrete implementation of the collection interface. So if you have created any implement interface, then we need to implement that. So that's why implementations are nothing but the concrete implementation of collection interfaces. In essence, they are reusable data structure. So they form a reusable data structure. Algorithms, these are the methods that perform useful computations, okay, such as searching and sorting. So it is one of the examples given for which we can use, like what kind of algorithm we can use. An object that implement collection interfaces, the algorithms are said to be polymorphic. That is, the same method can be used on many different implementations of the appropriate collection interface. So you can use a single method with multiple way. That's called polymorphism. It's an object-oriented concept, polymorphism. In a sense, algorithms are reusable functionality. Apart from the Java collections framework, the best known example of collection framework used to be in C++ is nothing but the standard template library. So before Java, C++ has the standard template library, okay, and Smalltalk's collection hierarchy. Historically, collections frameworks have been quite complex, okay, which gave them a reputation for having a steep learning curve, so that they were very difficult to understand. We believe that the Java collections framework breaks this tradition, as you will learn for yourself in this chapter. Okay, so it's easy to learn Java collections than the historic collections actually. So we'll get to know. So let's understand the need of collections now. Okay, let's suppose I need to declare some variables in a program. Let's say one or two variables, int x is equals to 10 or int y is equals to 30. Then it's perfectly fine to declare single variable or two, three variables in a code as per need. But let's suppose I have a need wherein I want to declare, I need to store the 100 or let's say 1000 elements in the code. So is it feasible to declare 1000 single variables for storing 1000 data? No, right? So in this scenario, we need something which will store a single variable will store the 1000 elements. So then the concept of array came in the Java, and what array does, array will store that 1000 elements in a single variable. So for the declaration of 1000 variables or elements, we can declare an array with some size. Okay, so we just need to specify the size. Array concept is very efficient and suitable for various operations. Okay, so you can simply do student, yeah, student, array will be denoted with this braces, student braces s is equals to new student, and you can specify the size in the uh, that brackets. Okay, so if you observe, this s is going to store this number of variables and going to refer those with the index 1 0 1 2 3 4 5. So it's very easy. If you want to get the data from 30th position, so you just need to do s in a bracket 30. So you just need to specify the index. So so if you are saying that array can store multiple data elements, easily, then what is the need of collection? Okay, so we are already saying that array is very efficient. So what is lacking in array which leads to having collections in Java? Okay, so it has been observed that there are some limitations in array as well. The first one is array are fixed in size. Okay, so once you create an array with some size, then there is no increasing or decreasing its size and based on the requirement. Suppose if you have created an array of student 500, and tomorrow if 501 student joins in the college, so there is no way you can modify or increase the size of that array. So that's one of the um, drawback of the array. Second one is arrays can hold only homogeneous data elements. Okay, so I'll refer to the below example. Okay, third one is that array concept is not implemented based on some standard data structure. Hence, ready-made methods are not available for the requirement. So there is no ready-made methods in array which you can use for sorting or searching or which are there in collection. So we are going to discuss that as well. So let's understand what we mean that arrays can hold homogeneous data elements. So if you observe the example, if I have created an object of student, I can only store the data elements for student only. So if I try to store the data elements for customer, it will not work because arrays can store only homogeneous data elements. Although there is a workaround, although there is a workaround, you can create an array of object and you can easily store the different types of objects. It may be student or customer. So there is a workaround for this second point as at least. But the third one is important and the first one is important because there is no workaround for the first one of increasing and decreasing the size, and the third one that there is no ready-made method support available for array. So to overcome these drawbacks or limitations of the array, we need collection framework in Java. So what collection framework is used with various operation and having various built-in methods that we already discussed, right? So they are as follows. So let's read through it. As collection framework is growable in nature, some need not worry about the size. So this is important. We need to understand that collection framework is growable in nature. That means you can either increase or decrease the collections, or you don't need to specify the size itself. You can keep on adding and removing the data elements. So the size will keep on increasing and decreasing automatically for the collection. So that's important feature provided by collection. So we don't need to worry about the size. Collection framework can hold homogeneous and heterogeneous objects. This is also important. We don't need to go for object as such. You can directly store student element and customer element in the collection. So we don't need to go for any workaround kind here. Collection framework is implemented based on some standard data structure. So each collection from the collection framework is implemented based on some standard data structure, and that's why we get ready-made methods to use, and that will be very easy for programmers to use rather than wasting their time to write the code to do that actions, ready-made actions actually. So what are the benefits of Java collections framework? So the Java collections framework comes up with the below benefits. I'm just going to read through. So let's understand each one by one. Reduces programming effort. So as I said, as collection is already providing ready-made methods, so coders don't need to write them. Okay, for them. So if you read through, by providing useful data structures and algorithms, the collections framework frees you to concentrate on the important parts of your program that rather than on the low level plumbing required to make it work. Okay, so I hope you got it. By facilitating interoperability among unrelated APIs, the Java collections framework frees you from writing adapter objects or conversion code to connect APIs. Okay, that's also another important aspect of the collection framework. Increases program speed and quality. Okay, so the collection framework provides high performance, high quality implementations of useful data structures and algorithm. So it's a ready-made implementation of data structure and algorithm which collection framework is providing, and due to that, obviously the program speed and quality is going to be improved. The various implementations of each interface are interchangeable, so you can easily interchange it between two collections. So programs can be easily tuned by switching collection implementation because you are freed from the drudgery of writing your own data structure. Okay, so you don't need to write your own data structure, so you can easily switch in between two collections if needed whenever you need to. You will have more time to devote to improving programs quality and performance. Obviously, if you don't need to uh, waste your time on this data structure writing, you will get more time to concentrate on your core functionalities. So that's why it's increases program speed and quality. Allows Then the third one is allows interoperability among unrelated APIs. So the collection interface are the vernacular by which APIs pass collections back and forth. So APIs can pass collections back and forth. So it's allows the interoperability in between unrelated APIs. Okay, if my network administration API furnishes a collection of node name, and if your GUI toolkit expects a collection of column headings, our APIs will interoperate seamlessly even though they were written independently. Then the fourth one is reduces effort to learn and to use new APIs. Okay, obviously because many APIs naturally take collections on input and furnish them as output. So whatever ready-made APIs, if you're using third-party APIs, those are going to use these collections, and they are taking some input, some collection as an input, and giving some collection as output. In the past, each such API had a small sub API devoted to manipulate its collections. There was a little consistency among these ad hoc collection sub APIs, so you have to learn each one from scratch. So you need to learn each one from scratch, and it was easy to make mistakes when using them. With the advent of standard collection interfaces, the problem went away. So now everyone is using this standard collection interfaces. So you all know that what functions and what algorithm they are using if they are using this standard API collections interfaces actually. So reduces the fifth one will be the reduces effort to design new API. This is the flip side of previous advantage. Designers and implementers don't have to reinvent the wheel each time they create an API that relies on a collections. Instead, they can use standard collection interfaces, obviously, because they can directly use the standard collection interface to design their APIs. So it will definitely going to reduces their effort to design new API. Foster software reuse. So the last one now. New data structure that conform to the standard collection interfaces are by nature reusable. Okay, so all the new data structures are by nature reusable. The same goes for new algorithm that operates on objects that implement these interfaces. So the same applies for the new algorithms. Whatever new algorithms are there, those operates on these objects that implement these interfaces actually. So let's understand the difference between arrays and collection. So we'll understand the difference against each bullet points. So if you consider the size, arrays are fixed in size, we all know, whereas collections are growable in nature. That means size can be increased or decreased as per our necessity, as we already discussed. Then let's understand the memory. So memory wise, arrays are not at all recommended to use because uh, and collections are recommended to use because let's suppose take an example of student only. So if you have created an array of 500 student, that means you're blocking the 500 space for student objects. And if you're only storing 400, that means that 100 space allocations, 100 units of space allocation is unnecessarily been allocated, and it's of no use. Whereas in collections, if you are adding 400, only 400 space units collection space units will be used, and the hundreds will not be blocked. So that's how it is. It has been said that memory wise arrays are not recommended to use, whereas collections are. But if you consider the performance wise arrays recommended to use and collections are not recommended to use because it's very easy to retrieve the data from arrays. You can simply use the index. Whereas in collections, if you want to retrieve the data of 30th element, you need to traverse from all the 29th elements to get the 30th one. So that's why collections are sometimes not recommended to use performance wise. Then what type of elements supported in arrays and in collections? So we know that we already discussed that array can hold only homogeneous data elements, whereas there is no such restrictions for collections. Collection can hold both homogeneous and heterogeneous elements. Then ready-made method support. So we know that arrays are not built on any data structure, standard data structure. Hence, there is no ready-made method support available for arrays. But if you consider the collection, the case with the collection is different. Each collection interface is built on certain data structure, and hence ready-made method support is available there. Then what kind of data type arrays can store? Can hold both primitives and object types. So arrays can hold both primitives and object types. But for the collection interfaces, it can only hold objects. Primitives are not supported for collections. So that's it for today's session, guys. As usual, if you have any queries, feel free to drop me an email, and you can also like, comment, share on the YouTube channel. Thanks. Bye.